Hey, Ethan, do you think
Yeah.
we should be introducing BIM to the client?
Yeah. What kind of client is Jonathan? For
Oh,
single house
okay.
owner or large client?
Well, if it's a small house, I don't think that you're going to talk about BIM with the client. I mean, it's not as if you would show the client how you do, like in the old days, if you're doing a manual drawing on a drawing board, you hardly bring the client through and show them how you use pens or how you use a pencil. So why
No.
would you introduce BIM to a small client? I mean, to a client of a domestic project. Now, what you might do is show them renders and views of the building.
Yes, that's how
And
we
I
do
know
it.
some architects would actually walk them through the building, but
Yeah.
the information modeling, I just not sure that's going to be a thing. But I can see. I mean, you sent me a video a little while ago of Singapore where they were looking at the complete thing, the complete package, the building, the design, the building, the construction, the administration, and it's all the same client all the way through. The client
Yeah.
employs the architects, the client does the building, the client builds the buildings, the client maintains the buildings. I, sure, BIM for that client, you're not going to introduce BIM to that client. They're going to tell you what to do. In fact, they'll employ you to do it.
Yeah. So I think for a single house owner, a single household, that's no point to explain what BIM is. You can, as an architect or as an architectural designer or technologist, can use it. For example, like you've been promoting vectors walks for, you can do it. You can draw a house, a simple house within 20 minutes. So
Oh,
that's
you saw my
how it's
movie.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. You've been promoting, right? So you can do it within 20 minutes, and don't tell the clients because client won't pay you because Jonathan can do 20 minutes. But anyway, client may, for a single house owner, he may not, even though you tell about, you have your management, how to do it, what are the informations, what are the valuable informations, what the JIP boards are sourced from. It may not be very helpful for him, right? Because he, maybe this is the first house in his life, and he may not know what the priorities are, and what are the important things he may not know about that, right? So I think it's no point to explain about small clients like a single house owner. However, BIM is really useful. Okay, maybe one thing you can do is like not BIM part of it. For example, like energy efficiency. You can co-sell about not the building informations like what the material is, but you can talk about energy efficiency. So I think
Mm.
for that point, you can sell your service of to the single house owner because, for example, obviously in New Zealand we talk about energy efficient home, right? So, for example, you can calculate by using BIM, and after your design, this room will be in summertime. What would be the temperature, and wintertime? How will it be efficient? That kind of things, because you can generate and do it apart from the photographic rendering. You can also do energy modeling to and show it to the client. So that is very valuable information to a single house owner client. Apart from that, I don't think there are so much information that clients need to know for a single house owner. But for example, commercial buildings, I think they are commercial builders or commercial owners. They are well aware of the benefit of BIM, and they knows they will get analysis up to the all the design analysis up to the facility management. That's my take for now for the single house client.
Well, it sort of leads me on to I was talking to my colleague today. So what my colleague was saying was that quite often we keep our tools private, almost a secret. Our process is not clear to the client. So the client comes in and says, these are my roles, these are what I'd like. Particularly if we look at a single family house. Client comes in, here's my bit of land, this is what I'd like, this is how I live, this is what I'd like to do. Um, and then the client goes away and then we spend a long time researching materials, thinking about doing analysis, doing, site analysis, looking where does the sun come up, where's the best place for rooms, where's the wind. We spend ages doing site analysis, investigation, all of our pre-design work of investigating district plans and building codes. And then we say to the client, here's a proposal, and we walk the client through it, we get their approval, we make the changes that are needed, and then we start to generate the documentation. And we might do some hand sketch 3D visuals at the beginning, we might do some computer generated visuals, but we don't tell the client how we got there. We don't show them the amount of work required to get there. And so it's misleading, and a lot of people don't understand what we do, how long it takes to do it, and why we spend so long learning to do it. So this person that came in seemed to think that you could become a designer without experience, without practice, and that you could then use it as some sort of retirement job where you just a couple of days a week, we're going to design houses. And that movie I made where, you draw your house in 20 minutes, that is really misleading because it hides all the other stuff that went on. I chose the materials, I knew how to detail the materials. There was probably, a week's work before that movie was made, thinking about where can I put it on the site, how high does it need to be, what's the floodplain, what's the district plan requirements, how am I going to get the cars in? All of that stuff you didn't see. It was all hidden from you. And all you could see was the fantastic whizzy pictures and how quick it is to do it. And I think that we're doing ourselves a disservice by not showing the clients how much effort we go to. If you went to a surgeon to have a knee replacement, you don't question how long it's going to take, and you don't question paying them a lot of money because of the high level of skill, and they're going to open up your leg, and you want them to do a great job. But quite often we get the feedback from clients. You're like, why am I paying you? I could do this. Because they don't understand what we do. They don't understand how long it takes to do what we do.
Yeah. By the way, what do you think about selling the BIM services as a energy efficiencies or energy modeling to the client, a single household client?
But we don't need BIM to do the solar modeling.
Yeah, but BIM can do that too, and it's a very efficient tool as well.
But BIM on its own doesn't do it. You need to use an energy analysis tool. So yes. ArchiCAD's got one built in, Vectorworks has got one built in. I don't know about Revit. There's the Brands one that you can use. Yeah. So these programs do have the energy analysis, and it uses all of the things that we build into the BIM model. So it does use the insulation values that we build into the wall. It uses the volumes that we built. It knows, what the heights of things are, where the windows are, how many windows they are. So yeah, I suppose it does. But yeah, I'm just not. But I think it comes back to this concept: do we hide what we're doing from the client, or should we bring them along the journey with us so that they know how much work we're putting in?
I don't think we need to tell everything how we are doing, right? Usually, even though we show it, okay, this is how to draw a line, or how this is the wall, sometimes it doesn't make sense to them, right? Because sometimes when you table up the whole plan and elevations, does it make sense? That's why we had to show the clients with 3D renderings, and because based on the technology, we show them, okay, this is, you can walk into put the goggle and you can walk into the buildings, use of technology in that way. So for a first time builder, it may be the last time for single household owner client, right? So it may be first, or maybe the last for his lifetime, because maybe he will sell it and buy another one or something. So it is, it's no point that skills are not relevant to them as long as he have a peace of mind that the end result what the end result will be look like. That's more important to them because, for example, like drawings, a plan is very technical. Some people, it doesn't really make sense because even those trained for the go to the schools, they for a few months they still need to learn how to read plan, elevation sections, and details, and how the organizations work. So yeah, the most important thing for the clients, we don't need to tell the clients how we work, and we need to tell them what would be the end result. So let's go back to BIM. So shall we introduce BIM to single house owner client? I think not fully.
Maybe
Talk
we
about a
don't
little
call
bit
it
on that.
BIM, but I think it
Yeah.
would be a good idea to for the client to know, not tell them everything, not show them how we
Yeah.
draw a wall, but allow them to know a bit more about our process. And
Yes.
because if you just look at a like a simple bedroom, the one room, simple bedroom, there's no plumbing in it. There's electricity. We have to think about where we put the lights, how we control the lights. Do we have two switches or one switch? There's a lot of thought goes in. But if we put in a power plug, where do we put it? We're always thinking about how it's going to be used. Then, of course, we got the overlay of, well, if we put electricity in it, then we need to look at the building code related to electricity. We need to look at the fire code related to that. We need to think about the ventilation, the light, the way it comes in, the insulation values in that room. Do we need to worry about sound insulation? So that even a simple room like that, there's so much going on. The BIM would certainly, I think if we talked about BIM in terms of helping the client see what's going on, the three-dimensional modeling, I'm doing some at the moment, and it really helps, I think, for the client to be able to turn the view around and see. Is it really building information modeling? No, not really, because I haven't assigned things like door hardware. All I've really got is that three-dimensional model that I'm going to use to create the drawings. So we talked about BIM a little while ago, and I talked about little
Yeah,
BIM,
we did.
and the little BIM is really where I think that single domestic clients are going to get the benefit until the construction industry changes to the point where we start to say, this door is from this manufacturer. And of course, in America, that's exactly what they do. They say, I'm going to put a Marvin window in, and it's from this catalog. And then the contractor knows he can just go and buy that window already made, and it'll fit into that hole.
Yeah. America
But
is quite advanced. Even the CAD, AutoCAD times, when you the suppliers have a library of that, and I can download, and it's free. And it was maybe 20,
what's
20 more than
when
20 years ago. Yeah.
if you're using ArchiCAD or Revit or Vectorworks, often you find that those windows are pre-built in a library. So you don't have to make those windows yourself. They're in a library. You just say, yeah, I want the seat, and skylights, where you say, oh, I need a Velux to go in here. And, so a lot of that stuff is in the BIM is starting to come off the peg. It's in the libraries. For the construction, it's starting to become, it's already made, just order it in, and when it arrives, put it in the roof. So some of that is starting to happen. It's just a little slower, I think, than we all thought it would happen. But does the client need to know that we're using the BIM model? I think they'd like to see the views. I think they like the result of the BIM, the three-dimensional viewing, the rendering. I think they like that. But
Yes, definitely.
And I think there's a halfway house where we tell them we have to tell them more about what we're doing.
And also they can share their families and friends of their design during the social media time. It's very good for them.
Once we've got the BIM model, we can share that BIM model with the client. They can walk around it, they can view it, and as you say, they can then share that with their friends and colleagues. Yeah, I'm coming around to your idea that yes, we should certainly let them know that these are possibilities.
Architectural is everything makes sense. Everything is subtle. When you start looking for the wall, the type of the wall, we need to make, it's everything has a reason. How many power sockets do we want to put, and why, and also when we put it in, what height, which locations, switches, two-way switch or one-way switch. Everything's is things are very subtle and everything's are meaningful. So, but we don't need to explain everything to the client, right? But and how the way we works. But as I mentioned earlier, clients should have the peace of mind of what the end products look like. So that means it's valuable for him and it's very meaningful for them to pay the services fees to the architectural designers, architects.
I think if like lawyers always explain what they're going to do and how much they're going to charge, and I think it would be better if we explained to our clients more about how much research goes into it. That one of the some offices have like a big like a big folder, and it's got all the information about the project. And if you went to a meeting with the client and you brought that folder with you, and you started saying, okay, yeah, so we've done the site analysis and started showing them, they'd start saying, goodness me, there's a lot of work's gone into that. Maybe they'd feel happier about paying the big bills that they need to pay.
Yeah, this guy, they're busy. I make them busy.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, thanks, Ethan.
Thank you, Jonathan. Yeah, see you next week again. Bye.
See you later.